When someone says they're going to explore options, it's usually pretty clear what that means. Although, since we are renegades, there's a pretty good likelihood that we think it might mean something different. And because we all have a unique perspective, it actually has a pretty good chance that whoever is saying this might mean something different as well. So we're going to explore options, what it means, and more on this episode of Today's Antidote. Thanks for listening to Today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway.
Hey, Tom, wrong intro.
To learn more about the Renegade Success Network. Sorry about that, folks.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
I was just exploring the options of whether it made different sense to do the closing first rather than the opening. You know.
Gotcha. What people don't know is right before we started the program and right before you arrived a couple minutes late, you say to me, hey, I need to get out of here this morning. So I'm not going to throw any bombs in. I'm just going to try to get through. And so I thought maybe you were really abbreviating it with just, here's today's
the intro.
And boom.
Maybe it was clear on what exploring option means. Anyhow, nothing like a little twist this morning. And in 665 episodes, I believe that's the first time that I've hit the wrong intro video. I think. Maybe I did it before.
Correct. No, that's the first.
Anyhow, how are you doing today, Bob?
I am good now. You made me laugh. I needed a good laugh this morning.
Throwing you a little curveball there. Anyhow, everyone, welcome and good morning to today's Antidote, our daily broadcast and podcast. Each day, Bob and I have a conversation around a topic. As I mentioned, this week's topic is exploring options. And today we'll discuss what it means. And while we have that conversation, if you have thoughts or ideas that you would like to share, please feel free to put them in the comments. Whether you are watching us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, or
LinkedIn Live, baby.
Yes, on LinkedIn Live. We welcome your comments, thoughts, and ideas because we know it'll add value to our show. And at the end of the conversation, Bob and I will each offer our one thing, our today's antidote. That thing that we hope will help you, maybe today, and maybe somewhere else down the road, figure out how to take your next step along your own unique pathway to success. So we look forward to that as well. Please feel free to share if you have a one thing that you think would be of value to someone else, because there might be somebody out there who is desperately looking for exactly what you have to say. And before we get to our conversation, though, we're going to dive into our celebrations that we do every morning. First thing, Bob, what are you celebrating today?
I'm going to celebrate the unpredictability of things that you think are going to be the way they always were. Every morning you hit the right button. This morning you hit the wrong button, and I love the unpredictability. It improves the game. And the best part was I didn't notice it right away, and you didn't either.
I usually hit the button, and then I stopped paying attention once I hit the button. I was like, oh, okay, I got 35 seconds until I can get a drink of water or do whatever else. So,
oh,
I just hit a different button.
You do your voice gymnastics. You do. You're like blah 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 blah. No. And you have that great voice without all that work. Amazing.
Lots of water. I think that
you're like Dick Clark. Yeah.
Funny.
Thank you.
A little inside joke there.
What are you celebrating?
So I am celebrating that today I get to go to a sort of conference, a one-day conference, and to give a presentation.
Nice.
And I'm excited about it. It's a conference for nonprofit professionals, and I get to talk to them about stop asking for money and start sharing their story.
Ooh. Nice.
Could be a similar one for leaders and business owners of stop selling and start sharing your story.
Wow.
So I'm excited about that. I'm going to head out after our show, and my presentation is 2:30, I think. So.
Okay. Well, good luck with that. That'd be nice.
Thanks.
That's a great topic.
It'll be a fun conversation. I hope.
All right. So we're talking about exploring options, right? Choosing options, and why it matters today. And we talked yesterday, right?
Yes.
Okay. You had to look like I thought I might have thrown it.
What it means. Heavens, where is this show going? We were talking about exploring options. This is what happens when you try to take over, I think, sometimes. We're talking about exploring options today, and today's conversation is going to be about what it means to explore
what
options.
it means. Okay.
And I think one of the things for us always to keep in mind is that since we are all unique with a different knowledge, experience, and perspective, when we explore options, we likely are going to explore them differently. So, Bob, why don't you kick us off and talk a little bit about exploring options and what it means?
I would love to. So before the program, I was sharing with Tom a situation, and I talked to him about yesterday, and I told him I might do one of three things possible. Actually, one of four things. And I did one of those four things last night. And this morning, Tom's feedback was similar to my feedback. Probably not. The result wasn't what I expected. It wasn't what I was anticipating. It didn't drive me towards the goal I had. And so Tom's feedback this morning was, hey, next time you get in that situation, you might want to try something different. What I thought was really interesting was Tom's suggestion for what I do different wasn't another one of those choices. It was a completely different choice. It was an option that was outside my field of vision. And I think that's one of the things when we choose options, we often are stuck. And it means a lot to us in that moment because we're trying to derive a result. I clearly, with what I did last night, I had a result in mind. There's no doubt. And I think most of the time, and I'm being very circumspect about talking about it because it's a personal thing. So if you're wondering what I screwed up in my business, nothing. It was totally personal. And I think that's part of what makes it matter so much to us is it's really personal. We make decisions expecting a result. And I expected a result last night. I didn't get that result. And today, looking back on it, it's like, yeah, probably wasn't going to get that result I was anticipating anyway, the result I hoped for. And so I'm left with new perspective today. And so if I were faced with that same situation today or tomorrow or next Tuesday or 6 months from now, I think I might handle it differently. And I think that's why it matters, because when we make choices, even if they're not the best choice, even if they don't derive the result that we're looking for, it matters because it's a step in the right direction. I learned things from what I did last night that I couldn't have learned otherwise. There's just no way. I could have been told 1,000 times, don't do this because of X. Don't do this because Y. Until I did it and analyzed it for myself, it wasn't going to make sense. And I think that's one of the things that we often don't give ourselves the freedom to understand is if you make a choice and it's not the best choice, you still have options. You can go to option B, option C, or in this case, as Tom pointed out, option D, which wasn't even in my purview.
Yeah, and I think that the hard part is at some point you have to make a choice. And I think that, as we're talking about exploring options, the challenge is, actually I shouldn't get to that because we talked about that yesterday. But I think as we explore them, and what it means is that we're considering all the possibilities that there could be. And I think so often once we do that, we then get to the point of creating a expected outcome, which we can't control. Once we do something and it involves someone else, you can't really control what the results are going to be. And I think one of the challenges is that, considering is like, what does really exploring your options mean? Like, did you really explore your options yesterday, or did you just make a choice? And I think that sometimes those are things to consider. It's what are we going, before we make a decision, what are the options that are in front of us? And I think we usually ask that question. The question I don't think we ask is what are the potential outcomes? And once we consider those, then we can choose whether to make a choice or not. I think that for some people, exploring their options it's about, this is what I'm thinking of doing and what are the potential results. Or I have all these other things that I could consider. And then I'm going to move forward. When you go to somebody and they're talking about potentially leaving a job, they might just say, yeah, I'm exploring other options. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean you have one opportunity that you're going after? Does it mean that you are like, I don't know, but it seems like it might be the right time to do something different, and so I'm looking at a whole host of things? And I think that's one of the challenges that we face, is that when somebody says they're exploring options, it's not always clear what they mean. Because, again, we don't have their knowledge, experience, or perspective, and aren't always around them to know, well, this is what they're trying to say. And I think sometimes we jump to conclusions. We come to our own beliefs, or what the result is of when they say that this is what they mean. And I think that it's helpful, whether you're the person exploring options or someone else is sharing that they're exploring options, to, understand that it could mean different things to different people. And so if I was saying that to you, Bob, as I'm exploring other options, you might be like, well, does that mean you're not going to do the show? Does that mean you're going to do something completely different? Or is it completely unrelated to what we do together? It was something completely different. I think that it's vague enough. And there are so many possibilities that it's hard to really be clear of what it means when somebody shares that or considers that.
And I think sometimes we use the phrase we're exploring options when we're really just exploring one thing. So it isn't really options plural, it's options singular. Whereas, maybe there are more options than we've considered, right?
Sure. And I think there's always other options. You had the three things. If you had thought about it, there were probably 100,000 other things that you could also explore. And I think that so often we sometimes forget that. We think that it's really just one thing. It's the thing that seems to make the most sense because of the results we're expecting. And
or not always expecting, hoping for.
Yes, although I think
an element of that too.
Yes, hoping for, and I think many times it's what you expect, because otherwise, why would you do it?
Hoping to win $1 million.
Yes, although I think there's a lot of people who expect that they are going to win because they've already gone through the process. At least I know they've gone through the process in their head of what are they going to do when they win that money. And so there's these expected results. It's like, hey, if I was really considering the chances, the odds of me winning a lottery, I would never do that.
Right.
Likely. If I had at least some small expectation that, I could win. I mean, I did that once. I walked out of a store, bought a random lottery ticket, got an email and a phone call 8 months later, saying that I had won. And what I won was not insignificant. And
do tell.
So, I won $5,000 once.
Damn. Look at
you. Out of the blue. I literally walked out of this store up in, 30 miles away. And, some organization was selling raffle tickets. And so I explored my options. And I said, you know what? I'll never win, and I'll support this organization. only later to get an email and a phone call that I thought they were kidding until I went online to look, and there was actually the results posted. And I was like, So I think that there is some thought usually of, okay, what would I do with this if I win, or else why would I ever buy it? Even with that, I'm sure at the time I was like, wow, it would be nice to win $5,000, and what could I, or to win $100? That was like one of the other options. I'm like, what would I do with it if I got it? And I think that that's the part of exploring options, is that there is at some point some desired outcome, or else why would we even explore options? Right? What's the point of exploring options unless we think there's some value or benefit in doing it?
So how do we wrestle with that desired outcome and choosing the option? Or is that for another day?
I don't know. I mean, I think that, we can touch on it. I think that it goes back to the same thing like any action. If at some point we don't choose to act, we'll never know. And if I had never bought a lottery ticket because my belief was I'll never win, so why spend the money, I would likely not ever consider it, right? Every time I went to some raffle or I saw that the Mega Millions was $600 million or $1 billion, I would be like, well, why? I've never won. I'm not going to win. Why? So why would I do it? I would stop exploring those options. I think because we always have a belief that what we hope, what we expect might actually come true, because sometimes it does. And, the action that you took yesterday, there are probably similar actions you've taken like that had different results. And so that
Indeed.
And so that makes you want to come back and consider that option. It's like, well, this might be the result. And I think the celebration is at least you acted. You took some step. And I think, or you also could have sat there and been like, oh, I've got these 4 options. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Just around. And before you know it, 30 minutes, 60 minutes have passed and you hadn't done anything. So you hadn't learned anything. Right. And I think, if I was going to dive into my one thing, is that what it means is to explore options, to learn. When we explore options, we learn about things. Because even in the exploration, we start to gather more information. If I was going out looking to hire a coach, I would go out and look and see, like, okay, what are all the possibilities and what do I need to learn about each of them before I ever choose to make my decision? And so just the fact that we are exploring them, we learn something. And then once we act, we are going to learn something else.
Lots of something else's.
Potentially. Who knows?
Yeah. No, I think what I take away from the discussion, why it matters, is if you don't choose
what it means.
I'm sorry, what it means. I don't know why I can't.
You really want to talk about why it matters, don't you?
I really do. I really do.
Hold that thought until tomorrow.
What it means to me, being clear now, is I think you're right. It gives us that opportunity to look at things with new eyes and see things differently. I see things from my actions last night differently today than I did yesterday. And I couldn't have known that any other way. And
Correct.
So now I have that going forward. That's valuable information that probably will influence my decision-making in profound ways going forward. And I don't think there's another way to get that information.
No. And as we know, results can change. So you take a step and you do it, and you as long as you're willing to not sit in judgment and rather stop and ask 3 questions. Like you could ask yourself when we're done the 3 questions: what went well, what didn't go as planned, and what might I do differently? And one of the responses might be the suggestion that I gave you that was completely out of your thought.
Yes.
Completely out of the options you were considering, or it could be something else, or it could be doing the exact same thing, knowing that the results might be different. given,
Or they might be the same.
or they might be the same. Correct.
All right.
Was that clear as mud?
It was clear as mud. I wonder what people think that we're talking about. That's the funny thing to me.
Well, I don't know. I think it'd be interesting, and I would welcome people's thoughts and ideas around, what do you think exploring option means?
Yeah.
Is it just the act of considering, or is it really diving deeply into understanding and gaining more information about it? Or is it just making a choice? If you have thoughts or ideas around that, your one thing, please feel free to share it in the comments. If you're listening to our podcast and you don't have a chance to comment, please feel free to join us inside our Ring of Renegades Facebook group, where we'll be talking about exploring options all week. And you can go there and share what it means to you. Because I think that someone else in there might stop and say, like, that's interesting. I had never considered that. And maybe as I continue to explore options, this is the way I'll look at it rather than the way I had in the past. So we look forward to seeing you inside our Ring of Renegades Facebook group. If not, we'll see you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Eastern time, for our next episode of Today's Antidote, when we'll talk about why it matters.
I can't wait.
Unless there is another option out there for us to consider. All right, everybody. Have a great day.
Hey, embrace the renegading you. It's worth it on this Tuesday.
It is worth it. Because, sometimes there's value in playing the wrong introduction. And sometimes there's not. There are always options to consider. So go out and make it a great day. We'll see you soon. Thanks for listening to Today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.